Good morning and welcome, everybody. We are really excited to have you join us today. I am Shannon Lieski, and I'm the president of the Rural Community Health Worker Network. Also joined with our staff, Rebecca Alba, who many of you guys have heard from and been recruited here. Our team at Everyday Life Consulting, Andrea Krotzer-Burton and Kyle Stahl, and again, myself, as I'm on both teams, have been asked to partner on our Mental Health Action Day webinar. Next slide, Andrew. The Rural Community Health Worker Network is a Michigan-based national 501c3 nonprofit that supports community health workers and frontline workforce. We are here to make sure that they are seen and that their work is valued. We make sure that we are also bringing in, as community health workers, the resident voice. Our strategies that we use are our awareness, our network, and our outreach. Next. The vision of the Rural CHW Network is to grow a national community of CHWs and frontline workers, along with building awareness for and celebrating, again, the visibility of their contributions. Today, the Mental Health Action Day would not be possible without generous support from MTV. This week, our team at Everyday Life has worked with our CHWN to develop some custom learning opportunities, and this is one of them. Thank you again for joining. May 19th, so today is Mental Health Action Day. We encourage you to get involved. In addition to this opportunity here for training, there is a social media campaign that is happening. Please share it with others at your organization, and be part of the movement. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce our guest speaker today, Andrea Krotzer-Burton. She is the VP of Training and Master CHW for Everyday Life Consulting. We are so blessed because she is also one of our lead advisors and has been for the last 5 years for the Rural CHW Network. Not only does she bring a wealth of experience as a community health worker nationally, but she is a champion for mental health. She is a certified mental health first aid instructor and does a lot of work both in her full-time role and in her volunteerism supporting this effort. So without further ado, thank you again, Andrea, for joining us, and look forward to the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. I'd like to say thank you to Shannon for that wonderful introduction, as well as always being a big supporter of myself and my passion for mental illness. It has affected me both personally and professionally in different ways, and with several different family members and things. And really, mental health is something that has been a stigmatized topic for so long. And it's very important for us all to work together, right, to overcome those mental health barriers. So again, thank you very much for having me. And of course, to the Rural Community Health Worker Network, Rebecca Alba, and I see Danielle Hickson's on, the director. And I just really appreciate the time and entrusting me to be able to take care of this today for so many wonderful participants. So as we get started, I really want to share a video. So I'm hoping that that it shares the sound, and I'm assuming my team that's on will help me if it doesn't. But this is actually the MTV task force video that they had put out there. And when I watched it, I really thought it was a really great inspirational video to really help you understand how to destigmatize mental illness and how to effectively talk to someone if you see, especially if they're going through some sort of maybe a mental health break or maybe even a crisis. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Sorry. Can you hear it?
No, the audio is not sharing.
So could anyone help me?
Yeah, so if you go to, I believe you should see some settings in your main panel, and you can share share computer audio.
Share sound. Thank you, Kyle.
Support your mental health. It's easier than you think.
Last May, the world came together for mental health.
To everyone who is struggling with their mental health, you're not alone. There's no shame in seeking help.
To shift culture from awareness to action.
Today is Mental Health Action Day.
We all have mental health.
What will you do to support yours?
I'll go first.
This year, more than 1,400 media, retail, and nonprofit partners from around the globe will join forces on Thursday, May 19th, to make this Mental Health Action Day even bigger.
Knowing that there are resources out there to get help if you need it.
Because mental health is health.
Make time to connect with yourself.
All right, let's do a little meditation.
With loved ones.
I am beautiful.
I'm beautiful.
I am smart.
I'm smart.
And with your community.
Sometimes it's just about reaching out to a friend.
What you have to understand is you're not alone, and you don't need to be alone.
Take action and join us for Mental Health Action Day on Thursday, May 19th.
So the reason why I thought that video was important is because the message itself is you're not alone. We're not alone. We're doing this together. And a lot of times it's a misconceived notion that people don't see mental illness necessarily, or they don't understand what it looks like. So they avoid it or they ignore it, right? But this helps you to realize that when you think that you are having a mental health day or a mental, maybe a little bit of a slow, sluggish mental day, you're not alone. The majority of us are. We all have those moments in our lives, right? And it's okay to feel that way. But today, what we're going to do is we're not only going to give you permission to have some of those mental health moments, but to tell you or share with you some really great strategies so it can help you when you're feeling that way to overcome those feelings. But more importantly, as an individual who helps other folks disseminate through feelings and situations, you're going to be able to encourage them as well and effectively support them while yourself is not going to get burnout or feel the burden of burnout at such a great rate, because you're going to have strategies. And again, you're going to be able to apply those strategies, hopefully effectively, to those that you serve. So today's agenda is going to be, as you see here on the screen, although I'm someone that has an agenda, but I might skip around. I'm not really totally a rule follower always, but this is going to be kind of a loose agenda because I really want to hear a lot of information from the participants. I really want to help you. So when we're done today with this call, you all feel empowered and inspired to be able to help not only yourself and your loved ones, maybe coworkers, clients, patients, that type of thing. Okay. So how to take a time out, right? That's not just really something that we do as a parent to our toddler or child. We need to give ourselves a time out. And it's oddly enough, when I had heard this term a few years ago, I had thought to myself, time out. I don't want a time out. That's a punishment. But now I can tell you, I love a time out. I don't look at it as a punishment. And even if it is a punishment, oh, well, it's a moment for me to take that time to be by myself and to really reflect on where I need to go and where I need to take my brain space, right? So time out, so important. Why do we oftentimes feel burdened as a frontline worker? Strategies to decrease or eliminate those burdens, right? Those are going to be real important. Clearing your mind with adding positive talk. One of the things that we do is we're our own critic, right? We're our own cynic. It's always, oh, if you wouldn't have done this, Andrea, you could have done that. Or if you would have done this a little bit faster, we could have been here, right? Always those little negative kind of pieces, right? That little negative voice in your mind. But we're going to try to eliminate that as well and help you to understand how you can tell yourself that you're awesome. And that's not being narcissistic or not being self-centered, right? We need to do this for ourselves, because when we do it for ourselves, what are we doing? we're letting others know that that's the way we want to be treated, right? We are showing others what our expectations are, right? And then identifying your own triggers to stress is very important. A lot of us get to a point of boiling over, but we didn't look at the little things that led us to that point. And if we can do things at the very beginning when we start to recognize or feel or notice stress, we can hopefully avoid those major anxiety attacks or panic attacks or bouts of depression or feeling overwhelmed, right? We can start with the very beginning to keep things going. And it makes our minds work a lot more healthy. And then, of course, some stress management techniques, things that I really enjoy doing. And I have found that I do them often. And even when I'm not feeling overwhelmed or super stressed, I still do them because it helps me maintain, right? We need to still maintain that health and well-being. So first, we're going to talk about self-care and taking a time out. And I love this because it all starts when you show up for yourself and when you give your thinking brain a break. So what I would like you to do is go ahead and unmute, or you can share in the chat, and I'm sure Rebecca, Shannon, or Kyle can monitor that for me and bring up some of those things. What do you do right now to show up for yourself? And if you don't, you can say you don't. It's okay. No judgment zone here. We are all in the same thing together. So I'd like you to share some of those things with me.
If you raise your hand, I can go through and unmute your mic, or feel free to type it in the chat.
Thank you, Shannon.
Go ahead, Lisa.
I like quiet alone time, and I like going for walks and listening to music. That's how I show up, and that's how I give my brain a break.
And do you do that frequently? Do you try to plan that out or do that regularly?
Yes, I do. Almost every day.
Good. Good job. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. I spend at least a good hour and a half, but it isn't like all at once. I'll kind of split it up during the day. I'll get my quiet time in the morning, and then maybe at lunchtime or after work, I go for like a 45-minute walk. And then sometimes I listen to music and sometimes I don't while I'm walking.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Naomi. It's not letting me know. Hang on. Were you able to unmute, Naomi?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I try to start my day in gratitude and make a conscious decision to be present in the moment as much as possible. It makes all the difference in the world. And it sets the tone for my day. So that's how I try.
And to piggyback off Naomi, when she says to show up for herself and to be like more mindful and clear her mind, to be present and ready to start the day, that's important because I can show up for myself, right? And take myself in the shower, get dressed, whatever. But during those moments when I'm spending time for myself with myself, if I'm thinking about everything else, what am I really doing? I'm not really showing up for myself. Mm-hmm. To truly show up for yourself, you have to be in that present moment, be thinking yourself through. I don't care if it's thinking yourself through of putting on your deodorant, brushing your teeth, whatever, but not bogging your mind down and really filling that mind space with the laundry and the appointments and the meetings and the other things, right? It's really being focused on you and what you're doing at that moment. And that's what showing up for yourself really means.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for your comments. Any coming from the chat or anyone else?
Got one more I've got in the that raised their hand. Jessica.
Hello. I just want to say, I guess I show up for myself, just being blessed that I'm here every day. And I try to at least once a week go out for lunch or dinner with my friends just to like reinsure myself with my busy, hectic schedule. So that for me is like a relief for my week.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And those things are very awesome because they're so important, because what are they doing? They're recharging our internal batteries, right? So when we do have those busy weeks and we have patients and clients and other things, we're able to give them more of our percentage, more of our brain space, right? We can stay more focused by taking those moments to really show up for ourselves and really give our thinking brain a break. That's super important, is to let your thinking brain shut completely down. I know personally, probably once per weekend, whether it be a Saturday or a Sunday, I take a nap. I love naps. I take a nap on Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, and I just allow myself to fully relax, and I meditate prior to falling asleep. And then I just take like a good hour. When I wake up, my brain is empty. I feel refreshed and recharged, and I feel like I can be there for my family and for the people that need me, right? Including myself.
Thank you for sharing, Jessica. Rita, I love what you shared. She says, I go for a facial. That is, I have to say, that's mine. I started that a couple years ago, and I look forward to it. Twice a year, I treat myself to just really relax, and it takes all the tension out of your face.
Doesn't it feel good though, after you get your facial, even though maybe at the moment, you think, oh my gosh, I've got a facial, you like to get there and what have you. But when you're done, you fully feel like you've showed yourself appreciation, right?
Yeah, more in the chat. Long car rides, gardening, cooking, reading, singing, making a conscious decision to be present in the moment, meditation, kickboxing. So many great ones.
Yeah, I'm one that loves to sing, and it's funny because my children always tell me don't quit my day job. But during research, I found that while you're working on tasks like Excel spreadsheets, outlines, documents, PowerPoints, what have you, you become more creative and more into that task by listening to music that you enjoy, that inspires you and that kind of thing. Well, I do that every day when I'm working here on tasks such as that. And it really helps me because I really enjoyed it. It lifts me up. It picks me up. It helps me to get myself into a very, very sunny kind of brain space. And it's funny because, like I said, my family's always like, please don't quit your day job. Like, thankfully you don't have to sing for Shannon because she might not, promote you ever again. But anyway, that's just a fun fact about me and what I do here in my home office. So now, in order to understand where we are mentally ourselves, we have to do a mental health check. And Mahaya has put out a phenomenal mental health screener. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to share it on my screen, but I'd also like to know if it's something that folks would like the link in the chat, and you could take a few minutes to do this. And we don't need to share necessarily the results, but it just gives you a good understanding, because I think sometimes we think, oh, well, I already know what some of my triggers are. Oh no, I don't feel stress. But oddly enough, when you do some of these screeners, it really taps into some things where you feel a little bit more vulnerable. And then you have more awareness of really some of the things that are causing you stress, or really you may present stress or feel stress, and you're not aware of it. So this is a really good screener that I found, and I really think it's important because it's the most current screener that they have out there, and it's been put out just this year. So it's very valid and up to date. Would you guys like me to share it in the chat, and then everyone can take a few moments to complete, if you wouldn't mind?
Yes, I think everybody would love that, Andrea.
Yep. So let's take the next 5 to 10 minutes, if you guys wouldn't mind pausing and in doing this screener. And then if I do have anyone that wouldn't mind sharing their results with the group so we can talk through it a little bit, I would really appreciate that. But again, it's not necessary. So let's take about 5 to 10 minutes to complete that and kind of see where we're at. Do we need a few more minutes to complete, or does everybody pretty much have it done? And I see a couple of results coming in the chat. But does anyone need any extra time?
Everybody's looking good. I've got a attendee that has their hand up.
All right.
Michelle, go ahead. Thank you.
I didn't receive the survey. Nothing is on my screen, so I don't know what questions that you guys were asking because I didn't receive anything.
Oh, gotcha. Are you able to see the chat feature? Andrea had put it in the chat. I'll put it back in the chat again. Thank you, Michelle.
Put it in the chat. You put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. You're welcome.
I just put that in the chat again too for anybody who would like the link, and then we'll make sure we send it out as well in our follow-up email. Katie shared, I could be doing better. Yep, a lot of people had got that one.
Rebecca, Shannon, or Kyle, did any of you do it?
I did. Mine said I was in trouble, which was kind of funny. I was like, really? I don't feel like I'm stressed at all. Melissa says, she's not surprised, but hers says she was in trouble.
Mine says I could be doing better.
See, and the reason why when I took this, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is all part of it. And it's really, and as long as I've been doing the mental health, area and really learning as much as I can about mental illness and mental well-being, I was quite shocked when I did it and how it was like I had an aha moment when it said I had read an article and I read a piece on mental health is health. It is your health, right? And a lot of people don't think of it that way. But ironically enough, as I took it, I was shocked with my results as well because I didn't feel stressed. But much like Shannon, where Shannon's like, well, I don't really feel stressed. I feel pretty darn good, right? But you don't realize the little tiny things that kind of chip away at your mental health over time. And again, it's those little things that chip away that cause a huge eruption. So think of it like a volcano, right? The volcano kind of, the lava and things are kind of brewing in the bottom of the volcano over time. Well, then something could come along and whatever it is, the pressure, the compression, and the lava just spews out the top. That's much like the way that we function, right? We push things down, we push them aside, we push them to the back of our mind or what have you. And then all of a sudden we have this explosion. I see Kimberly has her hand up.
Could this also be related to the fact that like some of us are kind of like surprised that we're getting the I'm in trouble answer? Could this be related that we're so used to being under stress that sometimes we just don't realize that we are?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where you continue to go on like that you don't understand. So think of it from your client's perspective. I'm going to relate this to working with our clients or patients because we're all frontline workers. So let's hypothetically say, we're working with a client and they come in and they've got their food insecure month after month after month, right? Well, they've been living that way for so long that this is their normalcy. So it's when we have to apply strategies to help them to understand that this necessarily isn't a normal living situation. So we help them to apply strategies to better equip themselves for so they're not food insecure any longer. So it's much like our stress. Even 5 minutes in the morning, and I'm going to share some really great strategies that you can do. You can do it in your car on your way to work, different things like that. But I'm going to share some strategies and things later on that we can do on a daily basis and include it into our routine that really helps if when something like that starts to show up and you don't even realize, much like Shannon or myself, if you take those few minutes in the morning or in the evening to decompress, those things start to go away. So you don't have that lava explosion, right? You're able to keep those things as healthy as possible. But that's a good question, Kimberly. Thank you for bringing that up. Anyone else have any comments or questions about the stress screener?
I will say I did take the test and it said you could be doing better, which I assumed I was going to be on the other side of I'm in trouble. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Good. So now you know that today when we apply when we talk about the strategies, if you start to apply these strategies on a daily or weekly basis, and again, I just mean small bite-sized pieces, because the thing is when we do something at least 40 times, we commit it to muscle memory. So it automatically becomes part of our routine. So just like in the morning, if you think about your morning routine, say when you get out of bed, the steps that you take to get to your office, that routine is probably very similar every single day, right? You brush your teeth at the same moment, whatever. This is the same concept. We're going to provide strategies so that you can apply these to your life on a regular basis. And it's going to become part of your routine. So it automatically sticks. And you're doing it all the time so you can stay as healthy as possible mentally. Because we know studies have also shown that stress can cause what? Medical conditions. Stress can exacerbate if you have an autoimmune disorder. Stress can exacerbate if you are someone that suffers from migraines, right? So we want to make sure that mentally we're stress-free. Do you think we could ever get there stress-free? I don't know. Okay, so when we take a time out, it's very important to understand we can't give to others what we're not giving ourselves, right? How can we physically and really effortlessly help our clients and our patients and our individuals that we work for and work with if it's a resource that we lack ourselves? Because I'd really like to know that. Because when you're working with someone and you're not, your brain capacity is already at its maximum, what happens when you work with that individual? You miss steps, you miss things, you don't provide things maybe at a timely fashion, right? There's many different things that go on, right? You're not able to give them 100% of your brain space because you're overwhelmed. The critical starting point is to take our own mental health temperature. And the survey, right, was our first step to taking that mental health temperature. Now, what you do with that survey and those results is important, because I would like to know from the group, we already found out how you're really doing. We need to know what's going to help combat the stress. Am I drinking, eating, sleeping, or crying too much, right? What do I need to do to stay connected? Right? So let's talk about that for a moment. Now that you've taken your stress temperature, or your mental health temperature, and we know how we're doing, what are you going to do about it? Are there individuals that have done this that are really ready to take the next steps to become more mentally healthy? Because the important part here as well is when I took the survey, I was almost in denial. As I stated, I had no clue that I was under stress. I must handle stress very well. But when I took the little stress quiz And then I actually took a moment to really look at it. I thought about, oh, well, I think this might be, and this might be, and this might be. So how can I change those 3 areas? Or how can I do better in those areas? And you don't want to overwhelm yourself with making changes or applying too much pressure, right? But even one small change is going to make a difference. Now, for me, I don't like to run and exercise. Some people, that is a really effective way, right? I would rather just sit out on my back deck and just sit in the silence and listen to the birds. That helps me, right? But some people don't like the silent brain because then other thoughts start to rear and start to show up. So what can you really do? Well, we're going to talk about that. Does anyone, let me ask this though, real quick. Does anyone in the group have any strategies that they currently utilize that might help the others in the group try it, or something that's effective? I know that I like to do word searches. Like word searches for me are super, super simple. So I just take a highlighter and for 30 minutes, I don't even think really. I just find the words and I don't focus on anything else but the word search. It helps me stay grounded in that moment. Lisa.
Well, about a month ago, I had a checkup with my doctor and I had put on quite a bit of weight. I have digestive issues. I have high blood pressure. I'm on blood pressure medication. Was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. So I had all these different concerns. And so my doctor addressed to try an intermittent fasting. And she put me on this medication to help me quit smoking and to increase my walking to 5 to 6 days a week, up to an hour. So the next day I decided, okay, this is it. I'm 54. I'm either going to go all in or I'm not going to do it at all. So my intermittent fasting starts at 6 o'clock at night and goes until 9:30 the next morning. With no food, I can drink tea or water. And this has helped me personally because 1, I'm sleeping better. 2, my blood pressure was taken yesterday and it's a lot lower than it's ever been. I don't feel sluggish. I don't feel fatigue. My digestion is a whole lot better. I've lost 8 pounds and it's been 4 weeks now and I have not had a cigarette. And so I'm really focusing and taking time for myself to get myself healthy and feeling so much better. So, and I will say this, I do feel a lot less stress. Honestly, I really do. So
well,
that's where I'm at.
Well, congratulations and good job. And see, that's just it.
Thank you.
You had to get to that. You're welcome. You had to get to that point where you could take those steps, right? And get to that point where you felt like you wanted to, and mentally, you were mentally grounded and mentally ready, which is important. So things that we have to think about are ways that we can stay, mentally healthy through different activities or conversations. So I think about things like crossword puzzles or jigsaw puzzles, like I was saying before, or even games. Sometimes reading a book is very helpful because it takes you away from all of that mindfulness and it takes you into a different place. So you're giving your brain a bit of a rest, right? Reading a book or even writing. Starting a journal blog is a very good way to be able to take a time out. One of the strategies that we talk about a lot in the mental health first aid and in a couple of the webinars that I've recently taken were how to help your clients understand that they can actually get up in the morning, okay? And before they do anything else, set a timer on their phone for 15 minutes. And you don't have to make complete sentences or anything like this. You just write down any word, any thought, any feeling, draw a picture, just everything that comes to your mind that pops up, you just log it on this. You just log it here on the journal, right? And then when you go get your coffee and start your day, all of these thoughts are gone. So you can start fresh with new thoughts and fresh thoughts and feelings. And then you do it again in 12 hours. You do it again at the same exact time in the evening. So if you do it at 6 o'clock at night, you do it at 6 o'clock in the evening. So you start your day with a fresh brain and you end your day with a fresh brain before you go to bed. Because what happens, why don't we sleep? Because when we go to bed, think, gears are going, everything's coming up, right? So it's very important to allow ourselves to purge those daily thoughts and feelings and go to bed freshly, ready for sleep and prepared for sleep. Excuse me. Staying connected is super important as well, because it's important to connect to other people that understand, because there are not a lot of other people out there that really understand mental illness or feel comfortable talking about mental illness. So even just having kind of your tribe or your go-to people to connect with and to just share things with and bounce things off. Or maybe you sit in on a webinar such as this once a month. Or maybe you enjoy sitting in on or meeting with friends, as one of the participants stated, weekly, hang out with friends, just laugh and that kind of thing, and just share things with them to get those things off your mind, right? But you can write down your thoughts of anxiety, like I had mentioned, or just the things that bog down your brain. Write down why you need a timeout. Right? We have to know why we need something to be able to do it, or to actually go ahead and go through with it. Breathe deep to the count of 10, both in and out. Now this, I would like to, what you need to do is, so I'm going to ask each of you for a moment to close your eyes and put your hand on your belly. And I want you to pay attention in your mind, focus. I want you to breathe in all the way until you can't breathe in anymore. Now breathe out all of the air through your mouth. Now breathe in all the way until you can't breathe anymore. And breathe out all the air out of your mouth. Now, when you do that and you put your hand, and actually, we talk a lot about this in the group that I belong to, but you take like a rock. Obviously, you don't take a boulder, right? And you don't want a pebble, but you want a rock that has a good amount of weight. You lay on your back and you put the rock on your chest or your belly. And what you're doing is, with your brain, you're focusing on making that rock go up and down, right? Through your breaths. Now, when you do that, it's amazing, because you're actually focusing solely on making that rock move up and down with your breaths. So you're paying attention to your breathing. You're paying attention to the movement of the rock, right? Moving the rock up and down. So what are you doing? You're grounding yourself. You're focusing only in that moment. And if you do, again, set a timer on your phone. When that timer goes off, then you stop, right? So you're not thinking about, oh, did I do it for 5 minutes, right? You just simply set a timer, lay down, put the rock on your stomach, breathe in deep through your nose, out through your mouth, and you're totally regrounding yourself. So I'm going to challenge each of you to try to do that regularly. Rebecca.
I just wanted to share, my eye doctor shared another calming technique with me when you feel stressed. It's something you can do when you're driving, and it's taking your hand and making a figure 8 It is naturally calming, and it stops you in moments of road frustration and stressful situations. And they don't have to be big figure eights. They can be very small, but you pace your breathing with your figure eight.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a really good trick.
You're
And
welcome.
tip. I love those things because again, these things are they don't cost any money. And people that are still in that home mode and working from home and things like that, and they're not really leaving their house too much. These are things that you can do right here at your office desk. Just put your hand on your belly or on your chest and feel that. Or do the figure eights. I'm assuming you don't have to do it just when you're driving. Probably if you just take a moment throughout the day and just do this. And really, what are we doing not only for ourselves? We're actually becoming better mentally for our clients, for our families, and for the folks that we work for. And those things are so incredibly important. Because whether we believe it or not, as we're going through our busy day and we're going, right? Those are the people that really do want to support us. I believe that. And those are the people that if we use our communication effectively to even just say, you know what, I need a moment. I'm feeling very weepy for some reason. I just really need 15 minutes to just take a moment and reground myself so I can head back into that task. And I think it's so important to do that. Does anyone else have any tips or tricks that they utilize currently to help them stay grounded or, mentally refocus?
This is Shannon. Andrea, I just wanted to put a plug in as you talk about this topic and how crucial it is. It also ties into our emotional intelligence. So as community health workers, we often have a higher level of emotional intelligence than other professions. And it's so critically important that we have to recognize that as we are able to identify our emotions and deal with them, that is a type of emotional intelligence, and we should continue to practice it and take that time out, whether it's, something that's hard for us to hear, we're stressed out, we're tired, you name it. It takes a lot of intelligence and practice to be able to recognize when you need to pause.
Yes. And thank you for sharing that because it's so important for us to be able to recognize and to be able to slow down emotionally, because our goal is always to help the clients and the individuals that we service as well to be able to do these same types of things because they are overwhelmed with stress and toxic stress constantly and regularly, to the point where, as Kimberly had mentioned earlier, I don't even think people realize it, right? So it's very important to do these things to stay healthy, not only for ourselves, but to help others be able to do this as well. I like, what I do here too, and I like this one here, the fourth one down, close your office door, hang a do not disturb, sit in the dark and silence. I like that because that's telling someone, that's communicating without having to verbally communicate it with someone, right? I need 10 minutes or I need 15 minutes, or what have you. And it's okay because what I feel like is that when you take those moments to be kind to yourself, you're kinder to other people. When you take those moments to sit in the dark, sit in the silence, not think of anything, just try to clear your mind, it's telling your supervisors and it's telling other people they need a moment, and it's going to be better for them to take that moment and get themselves grounded. So that way they're maybe they're going to be able to be more efficient, right? Or they're going to be less stressed or less anxious, and they'll be able to talk more calmly to the individuals that they have to work with or that they're working with, right? And I think that it's okay. And I think what the crucial piece here is, and I don't think it, I know it, it's very important for us to have these times when we need them and have that be supported, and advocate for yourself if you need to, because you're ultimately going to be a better coworker, a better, CHW, frontline worker, what have you. And ultimately your output and your quality is going to be a much, much better. Draw a picture, take an art class. I actually took a clay class once for a few months and I loved it because I could get, so frustrated or whatever, let's say, and I could go and like take it out on the clay. I could just like squeeze the clay and mold the clay and what have you. And it oddly enough, it was quite amazing because even the teacher that I went to, the one that was teaching the class, would say, boy, oh boy, I can tell now that I've gotten to know you over time that when you're working with the clay, it really makes it, I can really tell like the kind of the mood that you're in, right? Because I might have more of a smooth type clay project where I'm taking my time, I'm slowing down, or if I go in there and because clay throwing is very difficult. You're going to have things that collapse and they don't work right and what have you. So you got to redo them, right? So then you become frustrated with doing the project. So it's amazing when you do these types of things, what really comes out that you didn't know that were deep seated. So we are going to take a 10-minute break and then I'd like to come back and do this vision board activity. Vision board activity for mental wellness is super important. And whether you're male, female, child, parent, I'm going to go through what the vision board ideology is, how you create it, and how you can actually create it use it as an activity, even with your clients or with your children or your spouse. And it really is an effective way. We have vision boards all over our house here at my house. When I learned about this, and it's really a great way to keep something visual. So it's a really healthy reminder. Okay. So let's take a 10-minute break. Does that work for everyone? Then we'll come back and then we're going to dive into our vision board activity. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you were able to stretch and get yourself all ready for this activity. This is one of my favorite activities. So I hope none of you think I'm cheesy, but when I do something, I like to do it with a lot of fun. Rita. Okay, Rita. Thank you for joining us today, though. We really appreciated having you. And, we can send out a one pager maybe to the group of tips and tricks that we talk about as well. And I'm sure, yep, Kimberly, no problem. We're glad that you were able to join us. So,
We are also going to be sharing this recording, so stay tuned and check out our social media later today for a link that will let you watch this all over again.
sounds good. Hold on one second here. Yep, I don't have okay, so I love activities. I love them. I live for them during the times that I'm training CHWs and other frontline workforce. I think it's super important that we take a moment to really spend time together and understand that we are all going through similar things at different times. I do activities with my family. Sometimes when it's a stressful week, we might just do like pin the tail on the horse or something like that. My husband finds it a little cheesy, but we still blindfold him, spin him around and that kind of thing and make him participate because laughter is really a great medication. So I would like to do the vision board at this time. And let's see here. What we do for vision boards, we actually put on everything and anything that you can think of. Things that make us sad, things that make us happy, things that we want to do, things that we want to change, ways that we want to be. So very important to think about your vision board as something that you're going to hang somewhere that's visually stored so you're in an area that you frequently visit. I have one in my bathroom. I have one in my office. We even have one on the kitchen refrigerator. So those are just things that serve as a reminder when we do forget about things. It serves as a reminder so we're able to be reminded regularly. And this is a way that we can live intentionally. And I think that's a super important in today's world where we're feeling pressure and we're feeling overwhelmed and we're feeling all the things that we feel on a regular basis. So what I would like to do is I would like to have you put in the chat or do, let's see here. So put in the chat and I'm going to share my screen here and we are going to do a vision board together. Okay. And then this is going to be, this is going to help you when you create your vision board at home for yourself or with your family. And I would even recommend sharing a vision board and doing it with coworkers or with friends. I would do it with your coworkers as well. What are some things that you want to do to have fun in the office, right? I like to take time to listen to music, 10. Whoops. In the afternoon. Go ahead and start giving me what you want on our vision board. Rebecca Abba.
Maybe it's because I have a small child at home with me when I work, but I like to have a dance party for at least 10 minutes.
Ooh.
Ava shared nature.
Ooh, bring nature inside maybe, or go visit nature.
Yeah, a few people had put that in there, or pets. Acknowledge achievements. Goals.
Set goals. Give me a goal that you, well, boy, I'm botching that up. Don't sweat the small stuff, right? Like you're spelling, right? Hey, I'm saying. Naomi. Naomi raised her hand.
And I gotta go back to one piece. There, go ahead, Naomi.
Thank you. I'm thinking maybe share best practices for self-care, or maybe even going for a short walk after lunch.
Do you have any best practices for self-care? Can you share any of those that you might use yourself?
Sure. I like to practice a little bit of holistic approaches when in the office, or actually in the classroom. I teach community health work for my local college, and I share with our students anything from mindful breathing, reflecting, visualization. It doesn't take long. And again, coming back to just being present in the moment, that helps.
I like I also like the strategy that people use where you sit in silent for a moment and list 2 things you can smell, 2 things you can hear, 2 things that you can feel, see, things of that nature. That helps bring someone out of even a mental health crisis, but it also helps bring someone back into focus. So then you can have those conversations as well. So like if you are feeling, overwhelmed or mentally inundated, you can actually just take a time and focus on visualizing and hearing and seeing and things of that nature as well. So
awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to try that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that I use frequently with my daughter and a couple of my clients that have had, panic attacks, talking about their story. I always just ask them to pause for a moment and let's sit for a second. And then I ask them to name 2 things that they can see in the space that we're in. What are 2 things that you might hear? What are 2 things that you might smell? And then it helps just bring them out of that moment of distress as well and feeling overwhelmed, right? Because we all get to that point sometimes in our life. And if we do that, then it brings us back to that healthier place. Lisa, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I put in the chat, just do something really fun, like do a 10-minute cardio with the theme song, Staying Alive. It'll kind of loosen up all that tension.
Yeah, that's very good.
But there's something to said about laughing, right? And having fun. I like that one, Lisa.
Thank you.
Kimberly.
I think inner self-talk and positive affirmations are also really, really important. I know that helped me through a lot of tough times.
What is one of the positive affirmations that you could share with the group? So we would have that, we could put that down on our list of, positive phrases or statements.
One of them that helped me is I am a good person and that it's okay to make mistakes sometimes. It's okay not to be okay. Those are kind of some of the things that I would tell myself.
Yeah, I think those are important. I really do. Because we have to get to that point where we're okay with telling ourselves that we're awesome, that we matter. It's when we don't do that we start to allow others to treat us poorly, or we treat ourselves poorly, right? Those types of things. And so it's very important to create these vision boards and stay focused. Like for real, like my vision boards include pictures, phrases, quotes. I'm a big quote person. I love quotes. And I love the fact that my team that I work with knows that I love quotes, because every week we're getting something on Monday or Tuesday or something about like, happy Tuesday. Don't forget to moon your neighbor or whatever, right? Like, don't really moon your neighbor, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just these uplifting little funny things that we send each other that are just like, yeah, I know that my team knows that I'm here, right? I know that they see me in a sense, and they appreciate me enough to send me something to state like, happy Monday. This is going to be a great sunny day. Pull as many smiles out that you can, or whatever, right? When we take the time to invest in other people, they're going to take the time to invest in us as well. And I think that's super important for mental health, because what we do is we spend a lot of our time helping other people, right? But when someone wants to help us, do we say no? Do we invite that in? Do you know that statistics tell us that one of the hardest things for the human being to accept is a compliment? Allow people to compliment you. Allow people to recognize you in any way that they want to, or that they can, and know that it could be a positive, right? What are some other things we could add to our vision board? I like to scream sometimes. I go outside. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. Go outside and just kind of, I yodel. And it's funny because I don't even know how to yodel, but I just go on the back deck and I'll just yodel. And it's fun because I get this, it's like a release of all this air and tension. Rebecca.
I wanted to share what Amber Mullen was sharing in the chat. She says that they have a huddle each morning before they start work, and have a what's new and what's good with staff. It allows everyone to share and express where they are. We do that at home with children too.
Yeah, I think those are so important. Those morning huddles, those moments of giving yourself permission, because what we do is we don't give ourselves permission because we often feel guilty. Michelle.
I was going to say one thing is to know that some things are out of your control, knowing that you are only in control of yourself, and not all situations. That's one thing that you have to put into perspective as far as a visual board. You have a vision board is what you want in life, and making sure it aligns with if you are a spiritual person, if you believe in the creator, the universe, just making sure that everything aligns. And affirmations are good. Just get up in the morning and just, focusing on self-care. And like I said, affirmations are really good, because I do say affirmations. I have little little index cards all over my mirror, all over the place, that I say each morning. Affirmations, and I look at my vision board every day to know the goals and things that I want to set. And I make time. For myself, clearing my mind, emptying my thoughts, and making a special time for myself. Whether it's my journaling or walking in the park. I love to walk, being outside in nature, making myself up, spiritual baths, lighting candles, incense, certain colognes, just pampering myself, and woosahing, just, being free. That's what I wanted to share.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. And, affirmations, and I loved your taking a spiritual bath, and kind of that woosah is just really, really powerful. We can't say enough about affirmations. I have a whole box of affirmation cards that I keep that really help keep me motivated. It's almost like I just pick one each day and do some mindfulness with it. Back to you, Andrea.
Yeah, thank you for that, Michelle. That was wonderful. And I really think it's important, because we don't do it enough, even though we know we want to do it. And we know we need to do it for our overall health and well-being, and as well as mental health, most importantly. But why do we feel that we can't do self-care? Why do we feel like we can't positively talk to ourselves? Because we feel burdened. And why do we feel burdened? We feel guilty, right? No motivation for self-care, because we've given everybody else our energy and our time. So we don't have any time for ourselves, which is not good. We need to set time aside to take care of ourselves. We have a lack of awareness of our own needs. That's why we took that little quiz early on, so you could see from the beginning where you needed to be. Thinking self-care is a sign of weakness or a vanity measure. How many gentlemen, and I'm not trying to be, sexist or anything like that, but I know, at least from my perspective, the gentlemen in my family find it really hard to do things that really promote a lot of self-care, right? Because they're always going. So, putting others' needs first is why we feel a lot of burden as well, because we don't want to say no. How many of you can say no, right? How easy is it for you to say no? And then follow through with that no. It's not easy for a lot of people, including myself. And thinking self-care takes too much time. It really does not take much time. Now, yes, you can do self-care like a facial or an hour massage or what have you, right? Or a pedicure, manicure, whatever. But you can do 10 minutes of self-care. And you're showing up for yourself. You're giving yourself permission to be mentally well, and you're doing it with intention. And it's such an important message to send to others around you, because 75% of communication is through body language and through your nonverbals. So what are you telling other people through your body language and your nonverbals? If you're always there, you're always there, you're always there, always there, never saying no, never, you're always doing something for someone else, but you're not taking care of yourself. They're not going to take care of you. You need to, right? So eliminate that burden through that positive self-talk, right? Because self-talk can be both positive and negative. So it's very important to pay attention to how you're doing self-talk. Okay. And it can be encouraging, and it can also be distressing, because some people have a very hard time telling themselves that they're worth it, that they're an awesome person, those types of things. Much of the self-talk that you provide yourself really depends on your personality. Now, I told myself a long time ago I was going to own it. And I mean, I was going to own my size. I was going to own my attitude. I was going to own whatever. Now, I have to put myself in check sometimes, and that's okay too, right? It's okay. But when you give yourself that permission and you accept the fact that you have this type of personality or this type of body shape or this type of an attitude or this type of whatever, you have to really look at that deep down and take a good mental pulse of yourself to be able to then do those positive self-talks, because the pessimist isn't going to necessarily talk positively to themselves or others, right? It's always going to be that pessimistic approach. So if you're an optimist, your self-talk may be more hopeful and positive, right? But the opposite is generally true if you tend to be a pessimist. I'm an optimist. I look at the glass as half full. I think any amount of water is good, right? Some people look like they always want to have more. They always need more. It's not really going to behoove them unless the glass is full, right? I think it's even a blessing just to have that glass half full. And I'm okay with that. And some days that's all I have. And I have to tell myself it's okay. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or a negative person. You just need help, right? Or you need something different. And it's okay. And I recognize that. Now, it's work to recognize it, but I'm a one that takes also and does like lists of things. What am I feeling today? How does this make me feel? That kind of thing. And really take that good pulse. So positive self-talk, and I love this quote, and I recommend, or not require, but recommend, if you're a quote person, you write this down and you keep it somewhere, because it's very important to understand positive self-talk is the most powerful form of communication, because it either empowers you or it defeats you. And do you want to be someone that's empowered to empower other people? Or do you want to feel defeated all the time because of the negativity and because of the being overwhelmed and inundated with those negative thoughts or feelings, right? So let's be positive and let's tell ourselves positive things. Say it out loud. When we say it out loud, it becomes a reality. You're awesome. Thank you for showing up today, Becky. I really appreciate your support. Thanks, Shannon, for always being there and having my back, right? Those are positive things, because I know that took me 3 seconds to tell Shannon and Becky those positive messages by saying them out loud, but that could make their day, right? So those are some things that we have to be mindful of, and we have to put on our vision boards, because then they're in our face and we're aware of it. And when we're aware of it, we can avoid it, right? Because it's a message that it's sending ourselves as a friendly reminder. And be enthusiastic. I'm not saying that you have to walk around like you're full of like, unicorns and jewels all day long, but try to, be that positive for yourself and for others. And express that appreciation and give compliments and call out the triumphs, no matter how small. I got up today and I took a shower. That's awesome. I'm not sitting in front of my computer in my pajama pants. Like, I did wonderful today, right? Yesterday I put on mascara for the first time and I thought, oh my gosh, look at how beautiful your eyes are. Just tell yourself those little fun things that set you up for positivity and for a great drive to work and a great day and that type of thing. And when you say it out loud, it actually is more impactful and more powerful. So we talked about self-talk a lot, and we talked about how it's important to be positive, but we need to do this so that we can find humor in situations. And I don't mean this from a perspective of let's laugh about a client's situation, but we need to help them understand that they need to create a vision board. We need to help them create a vision board, right? We need to help them to understand so when they do come to us, they're not so burdened. They don't feel the burdens of life weighing them down like an anchor of a ship, right? That they have some of those internal and external strategies to be able to be positive. And that might be, you write it on a sticky note and don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel like you're being self-centered, right? I am going to be awesome today. I tell myself that every day. I am going to be awesome today. I don't set an expectation about how awesome, right? I don't set an expectation of what awesome might look like that day. I just know that I'm going to be awesome and I'm going to show up and I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to do my best. And that's all I can do, right? And when you put it on those sticky notes and you put it all over everywhere, and I recommend bright neon sticky notes. I'm an office like sticky note, pen, whatever, but even our vision boards are done on neon wall board or neon board. So we can physically see them, because that's an intentional way. But try to find humor in situations if you can. Practice, 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 and invest, invest, invest. Those are the only ways that we're going to ever get to that point where we're going to be able to speak positively. I like to do with my classes as well is a lot of activities throughout the day when we're in training and we're doing different things. But I like to tell my students and to tell the participants that I talk to regularly that I appreciate them for showing up. Thank you for showing up. I don't know what you're going through today. Maybe you're going through nothing, but thank you for being present and for showing up and for investing in listening to me, because that's important to me. And when we do these types of things, we're showing someone else that we care, but we also show that we're communicating that we really care about ourselves, because we're showing those types of positive outward positive affirmations to individuals. But you've got to practice it, and you've got to be willing to invest in yourself and into others. So when you identify your own triggers, you're going to be able to help others identify their triggers. Now, for some people, and they don't realize this, now I've talked to a lot of people about this throughout my last 5 years, and a lot of people have brought up that smells are a trigger to them. Certain smells remind them of a situation, right? Colors. And I did not realize that. I had a student in one of my classes, and she explained that the color red, for whatever reason, any shade of red, and she didn't, the thing is she didn't know it for the longest time. And we started to compare things and talk about things. Not that I helped her realize it, but she'd realized it a little bit before that. But she had went through a severe auto accident, and the car that hit her was bright red. So for her, the color red, for whatever reason, was something that always made her feel like she would sweat a little bit. Maybe her heart rate would go up a little bit. And she didn't know why for the longest time. But then she felt like she needed to bring it up, or however it came up in conversation with her physician. And they realized I wouldn't have ever, thought about something like that, right? Loud noises. Certain individuals or certain situations might be a trigger. How well do you know your triggers, your own triggers? And how deep-seated are those triggers? Those are very important to understand and recognize. Certain holidays or events for people, certain concerts, sometimes fairs, bright lights. I didn't realize this either until some time ago that for some, the fluorescent lighting for some is a trigger of like migraines and other issues that they can't be around those types of lights, which I didn't realize that was a thing either. So the point here is you have to know your own triggers that are going to prevent you from being as mentally well as possible. And then we can in turn help our clients and folks understand their triggers. And then we can discuss solutions, right? We can discuss what can we do about that? How can we overcome those triggers? Now, some of the stress management techniques that we talked about today were things like self-talk, vision boards, making sure that we're trying to remain as positive as we can by doing some of these techniques and utilizing some strategies to be able to get those wins, whether it's big or little. Having those positive wins are so important. But I also recommend writing down those wins. And someone mentioned earlier about gratitude. You can do a gratitudinal journal. It's a really great way to even go back and like reflect your thoughts and to look back at all the things you're grateful for from your own perspective. Like, I am grateful to you, Andrea, for X, Y, and Z, right? Just show yourself gratitude. And then you want to show others gratitude. So then your relationships start to become stronger. Your stress starts to go away a little bit more, right? Get enough sleep. So important. Studies have shown that if adults 18 and over need 7 to 9 hours of good solid sleep a night, uninterrupted. So in addition to taking your stress pulse, what's your sleep pulse? Because sleep is associated with mental health. They go hand in hand. So it's very important that you allow your brain and allow your body to do a full backup during your sleeping time, right? And if you are not sleeping well, what can you do differently? What is your sleep hygiene? And that's for another training and another topic, but sleep is very important. So I'm going to encourage you to do a quick sleep hygiene. And then of course, schedule yourself a 10-minute timeout. Be intentional. When you schedule those moments, you're going to take them. Because if you put a meeting on your calendar, you're going to show up to the meeting, right? If you put another task on your calendar, you're going to do it. So take time, 10 minutes. Self-care. I know there was one organization that I had a student in class that they had decided for, because individuals are so inundated and overwhelmed with stress and anxiety and depression and mental illness, to make sure that their frontline work staff was as healthy as they could, help guide them with. They decided to give an extra hour of mental health a week. So they could either come in late, leave an hour early, take an extra hour lunch, what have you, but it's 1 free hour per week that they're allowed to have. They can break it up in a half-hour chunk, 15-minute chunks. However, they just have to put it on their mental health time. And they put it on their calendar, they schedule that time, and it's that 60 minutes of time that they're allowed. So see, someone advocated, stated, the employer listened, or the individuals listened, and they were able to schedule it out. So then they do it with intention, but they have to schedule it out. See, so the employer is also holding the individuals accountable to make sure that they're doing it, right? Because we need a team. ultimately, we have to have friendly reminders from our team, whether it's our family, our friends, coworkers, whomever. We have to have those friendly reminders, because if we don't, a lot of times we think we can push through, and then we take the stress, tests, and we realize that we're in fact more stressed out than what we thought we were, because we've been able to suppress or live like that for so long. It doesn't become important, right? So schedule those 10 minutes when you can, to take those time out, and make sure that it really truly is a timeout, that it's not hanging out on Facebook or calling your mom or your sister or your best friend or whatever. You're shutting your phone down, you're sitting down, you're ignoring and avoiding everything, and you're only focusing on solely your own self, mind, health, and all. So the last activity, and I don't know if we're going to do maybe like the last 10 minutes, I think we should do like a Q&A, but this is something that I really want to bring up, because I think it's important for us to do a self-care action plan. I think it's important because it's strategic. I think it's important because it's intentional. And I know it's important because it's necessary. And when we do it with intention, by following these 4 steps, we're actually going to put together our action plan. And that's when we can practice and invest, and it becomes muscle memory, and it becomes part of our daily routine. So what are your signs of burnout? Do you know what they are? Maybe you have to write down a few things and then kind of just pay attention to that. Maybe you just do the first chunk it out. Maybe the 4 steps are overwhelming. Maybe the first week you just do the first chunk, and you're mindful of what are your signs of burnout, right? What are your warning signs? And you just write them out and list them, because we have to recognize that, and then we can help others. This is another tool that you can use if you're helping others through, like your clients or other individuals. You can use this template and use this, because when you have a strategic action plan, you're more likely to put it into place, to put it into action, right? What are some stress relievers? Your stress relievers, because your stress relievers are going to look different than mine. I don't want to go and hike through the woods for 4 miles. I don't. I love to be with nature. I love to sit on my back deck, watch the horses roam, the bunnies chomp around the backyard, just sit quietly and listen to the birds or what have you. But my stress relievers are going to look different than yours. So write down what those stress relievers are to you. People that you can reach out to support. This is a lot of times, this is probably one of the most difficult steps for everyone, because a lot of us, especially community health workers and frontline workers, we have type A, very strong leadership personalities. And it's very difficult for us to be like, hey, Kyle, do you have a few minutes that we can chat today? Because I'm feeling pretty burnout. And I just really want to just, whatever, right? Just doing an emotional dump to somebody, right? That's the hardest thing to do, but it's one of the most important parts to this self-care action plan. Okay. Because the key word here is action. You have to take action. If you don't take action, it's not going to work. Okay. And then of course, helpful reminders, like we talked, the vision board. And the sticky notes. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I believe I'm going to turn the mic back over to Shannon, and so we can have some Q&A and have some feedback from some of the participants. So thank you all again for having me. It went by really fast. I appreciate all of you for paying attention and for being here with me today.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And go ahead and put your slides back up, Andrew. We've got just 3 more that we'll run through, and then we'll do a formal kind of Q&A. Thank you, everybody, for being here. There's several resources that we will share in the chat to help you get involved, get engaged. We also want to make sure that you get a follow-up by email. Rebecca, I'm going to have you do some updates for the network itself. Thank you so much again for inviting Everyday Life Consulting to work alongside you on this and all your work supporting Mental Health Action Day.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I am Rebecca Alba. I am formerly known as the creator of opportunities. It's fun when you get to make your own title. And I do feel like I love to give everybody opportunities, whether you're a frontline worker, whether you're a CHW, or you are a person I meet in the grocery store. So I am primarily a jack of all trades with our CHWN. I do memberships. I do social media, I answer questions, I help set up the learning collaboratives that we hold every month. That this year our focus is building your CHW toolkit. I also network with other organizations to put on free webinars, much like we did today on behalf of Mental Health Action Day with MTV. If you have questions or want to learn more about our CHWN, please feel free to reach out to me at my email. It is rebecca@rchwn.org. We do have a CHW store that supplies shirts, bags, all kinds of swag to show that you are an advocate or you are a CHW. We do hold an annual conference. This year, we are looking at July 15th in Charleston, South Carolina. Our hope is to take South Carolina by storm, fill it full of community health workers, where there is support, advocacy, and a lot of storytelling. This year, we actually kicked off with the support of Everyday Life Consulting, the I Am a CHW campaign. It is an advocacy and awareness campaign. It is on our website. You can instill a picture of yourself, a quote, what you say you are, whether you are CHW, you are a linkage, you are a storyteller, you are a coach or a champion. It is your story to tell. It is there to celebrate yourselves. And through our CHWN, we like to share your story and celebrate with you. For those of you who are unfamiliar with MTV Mental Health Action Day, today is an amazing day with them. They have Snapchat lenses. They have a virtual roundtable today at 12 o'clock. They have a Paramount Vet Net at 4 o'clock today. They have Sound Mind Live for LGBTQ+ community. They are greatly involved in so many facets of giving people a voice in mental health. If you go to their website, you will actually get a list of all the virtual, as well as there may be something in your town that has popped up, whether it be a parade, a march, a band, a concert, somebody sitting at a local restaurant and talking about mental health. They are a great organization. They brought awareness last year, and this year they are bringing action. I'm trying to think what I forgot to talk about, and I am not sure. I can only say I thank the partnership that we have with Everyday Life Consulting. They have great instructors. They have a great format, and they are always there to support everybody and moving forward and giving support and education where needed. I cannot thank you enough. And Andrea, I will listen to you teach a class any day of the week.
No pressure, huh, Beck?
Next slide. Thank you again for all that. I was putting some links in the chat just to help support our CHWN. I'll also put in our Facebook link to connect with us. Oftentimes there are free public opportunities. Please share them with others. Annual membership is only $25. It covers a lot of different facets and all goes into a scholarship fund to support CHWs. We are a national peer-to-peer network for CHWs, supporting CHWs, different from our national association. So I'll definitely put a plug in for NASHWA, who is a wonderful partner of ours. If you are a CHW, please join your professional association as well. So nothing about us without us. We have to support one another so that we can support our communities. As the founding president of the Rural Community Health Worker Network, I'm just very pleased for all the work that we've done. We celebrate our 5th anniversary this summer and all the work that you guys do as CHWs and myself included. Next slide. I'm going to leave you with ways to connect with us. Please contact us, get involved. If there's anything you need, we are here to support you as a peer network. Thank you again for your time. and to MTV for allowing us to be part of the Mental Health Action Day. I'm going to open the floor up for the next 5 minutes for any Q&A.
I see Kimberly has her hand up.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kimberly. Looks like you are unmuted, Kimberly. Okay. Thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day.